Do you guys like art? Who likes art? Yeah? Dave, what's your favorite piece of art? No? Anybody willing to give me somebody give me an example of their favorite piece of art? Anybody got an artwork that they really enjoy looking at that's yeah, Francesca, what's one? Oh, yeah. It's a good painting. So I want to show you one here. What's this one? Who painted that? Van Gogh. Yeah, what's it called? Starry Night. Yeah, anybody know anything about Van Gogh? This can be interactive. Just go for it. Who's what? He cut his ear. Yeah, the guy was kind of nuts, right? Yeah, cut his ear. I mean, the painting's awesome. Yeah, the guy was nuts. This is the guy. It's his self-portrait there. He was born March 30th. I did not know that. Oh, really? That's awesome. All right, so what about this one? Who painted that? Sorry, is that too risque for church? Can I show that in church? I don't know. It was Michelangelo? Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool piece of art. So anybody know where it is? Sistine Chapel. This dude paints this on the ceiling. Have you ever written upside down? You tried that ever? Or drywall or painting upside down, painting a ceiling? Anybody painted a ceiling? It's terrible. This dude painted this entire ceiling. I mean, could you imagine? Sheesh. Oh, well, back up. There we go. Who's this? What about this one? Salvador Dali. He was a surrealist. Yeah, Ellie?
Fun fact, the softness of the box, it was inspired by his love of September cheese.
Huh. Didn't know that. Awesome. So yeah, there's this guy. So that's him. Right? I mean, no explanation needed there. It all makes sense. He has some crazy pictures. The dude was nuts. Yeah. This one, who's that? Yeah. He's one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Yeah, I got a couple more. Anybody know that one? I believe this is a Rembrandt. That one? Monet. Yeah. That one's awesome. Yeah, they're great paintings. Some really beautiful art. We love going to the Seattle Art Museum and some others. I'd love to go to Rome, sort of just walk around there because there's so much beautiful art. Well, this morning we're going to talk a little bit about art. I want to look at Genesis chapter 1. If you want to go ahead and open there, go ahead and turn to Genesis 1. And then the two verses we're going to really primarily look at are 26 and 27. So I'll go ahead and read this. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. So that word image comes up a lot in here. It uses two. It uses image, and then it also uses likeness. Image and likeness. Hi, Ashley. Image and likeness, okay? So really the context of that, really the idea is likeness, shape, model, pattern. It's after the form of, after the pattern of. It's art. Okay? It's art. A painter was inspired, right? Monet's inspired. This is an impressionist painting. So the idea of impressionism was to give you, it wasn't to give you all the detail, because out of the Renaissance was intense detail, okay? Really just these amazing paintings, and then in the Baroque period the idea was never let your brushstrokes show. Okay? So never show a brushstroke. It would just make it look seamless. And then you got into Impressionism, which is let's just give you the image of it, like you're at a lake or something. Like you all have great memories of being at places, and you have kind of an impression of what it looks like, but maybe not like the full, a full clear picture. That's what Impressionism is, and it's a really cool art form. But the artist puts forth a painting or a poem. Okay, it can be a book. Language is a form of art. Music is a form of art. Art conveys the thoughts, ideas, and creativity of the artist, and each piece of art has its own unique style so that you know right away who created it. And if you're unsure, most artists put a signature in the bottom, right? That's like right down in the corner of a painting or carve it somewhere in the statue they carved. So art points to the artist who made it, and it's a display of the artist's ingenuity and uniqueness. What's more, that piece of art is only as valuable as the artist who made it. So Michelangelo. Okay? It's valuable because he made it. My grandma was an artist. She has some really fantastic paintings. We have a couple of them in our house. They're beautiful. No one knows who she is. So they're basically worthless. I mean, to everyone but us, because we knew my grandma, right? So the value that most art possesses is it's value by association. It's valuable because of who painted it or who carved it. So how does this relate to Genesis 1, 26 and 27? Well, I want to get into this a little bit. So the word image suggests that we were created to convey the person of God or the character of God to his creation. We were designed to reflect his uniqueness to everything that he's made. Does that make sense? So this is what sets man apart from all the other creatures on earth. It's not our DNA. You're not going to look in DNA and say, hey, there's a big difference here. I mean, scientists have tried to do that for years, but there's very little difference. That's not what sets man apart. Okay? It's not in our DNA. It's not in our intelligence level. It's not in our ability to use hand tools. Though, basically, I have no ability to use hand tools. I'm terrible with tools. My brother-in-law comes over and rescues me when I need to do a project. I did do a flower pot, and it was a flower. What was it? It was I tried to make a flower pot for the back porch. I got like halfway through, and I'm like, this is not working out. You know, because I didn't do a plan. I just doing it from my head, and I'm like, hey, I'll just throw some boards down there, and we'll put them together and make it look like a flower pot. And I gave up the project halfway through, so not good with hand tools. And it's not in the fact that we don't eat our own young, okay? It's not in that. You're not going to find it there. The difference is that we were uniquely designed to be a display case for the person, the character of God. And the one and only thing that gives mankind any value whatsoever is that we were designed to point to the one who made us. This is the mantle that we were given, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and it means that we were, from day one, designed to be dependent. We are designed to find our value and our wholeness somewhere else, which means we were created dependent on God. We were designed to look to God for anything and everything we would need. Okay, God breathed the breath of life into us, and he continues even now to sustain our lives. Do you control your heartbeat? Who in here can stop their heart and start it at will? Can you do it? What about when you're sleeping and you're breathing in your sleep? Do you control that? Your ability to digest food, do you control that? Do you control the ratio of gravity so that we don't float away or we don't get crushed? I mean, the earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour right now. Are we flying off into space? We're hurling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. Do we control that? Can you speed it up or slow it down? Do you control the rate at which your hair falls out or grows back or grows in weird places? Mine's migrating down my neck. I'm like, what in the world, man? I can't grow it here, but man, my neck hair is coming in nice and full. I can't control that. I can't control whether it goes, it's white or black. No control. None. My eyes aren't focusing like they used to. Now, like when I sit at a computer for 5 hours, all of a sudden I have a headache, which never happened before. Okay? I mean, I'm fading away, guys, and I got no control over it whatsoever. God sustains us every second, even now, always. He holds you and I together. He holds you and I together. We are dependent on God for life, and it is God himself who holds us together. We are made to be sustained by God himself and to bask in his love and in the light of his goodness in life. And at face value, does that sound pretty good? Really, just, you can talk. I'd love to interact, but face value sounds pretty good, right? Yeah, it's not too bad. So why would anyone reject that? So I'm kind of an artsy guy, as you can see by what I showed you with the art. I love art. I love art, love music. I love poetry. I like reading some books, mostly sci-fi. If I get into a book, it's going to be sci-fi. I like movies. I would probably watch the movie version of the book before I read the book. So it's probably just because I'm lazy. But I'm an artsy guy, so I think in images. So when I want something to make sense to me, I have to try to come up with an image or a picture in order for it to sort of resonate or click. I'm not going to sit there and just analyze the facts and the data and then come to a conclusion. That's just not how my brain works. So I want to kind of just really quickly summarize the rejection of this life, this dependent life that we have from Genesis 3. And I want to do it in the form of a picture. Okay? So God created the heavens and the earth, all that's in the heavens and the earth. Psalm 19 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours out speech, and night after night reveals knowledge." So the heavens, even right now, are preaching and speaking to us. So I'm going to use something in the heavens to give you a kind of a picture or an analogy of what I think really took place within this rejection in Genesis 3. And it really helps to give clarity in regard to the gospel and all the things you see and hear later on in the gospels. So we see the moon every day, right? Who saw the lunar eclipse this last year? It was awesome. Yeah, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. The moon just moved over, blocked out the sun, and for a split second, everything just went dark. Everything went dark. It got quiet. Got cold. It was weird. It was the weirdest thing, but it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So the moon sits in the sky, well, it sits in space. The sun's always there, right? And what is the moon designed to do primarily? Does anybody know what the moon does? Belt it out if you got it. It reflects. It reflects the light of the sun, right? So greater light to rule the day, Genesis 1, lesser light to rule the night. So the moon, like a mirror, sits on the opposite side, on the dark side, and it reflects light onto the earth. It also governs the tides of the earth. But it reflects light. It was designed to reflect light. Let me throw a curveball in this mix. I shared this with my youth the other day. It was really a good conversation. So what if the moon says to the sun, "Sun, you know what? Your light's pretty cool. But I don't want to reflect your light anymore. I want to be a light unto myself. I'm going to produce my own light. I'm going to go off on my own. I don't want you. Get away from me. I don't want to reflect your light on the earth anymore. I'm going to be a light. I'm going to be my own light." Let me ask you just a really practical question. This is not a trick question. What's left for the moon in that scenario? Darkness. Does the moon have the capacity to produce light? No. It's not in there. Interesting, right? Interesting. Does not have the capacity. All that's left for it is darkness, which is interesting because when you look at the language that John uses in his gospel, it mirrors that sort of idea, that concept of light, life, and reflection. So we rejected God, is what happened. It wasn't just we ate the fruit, like God said don't do it, we did it, and then we died. It wasn't that. We rejected our dependent life. And we continue to reject that dependent life. Ever since the time of the fall, the world says with one resounding voice, make the most of yourself. Get famous, get rich, get power, get respect, get honor and authority, and then and only then will you have value. Be better. Do better. Religion hasn't done any better, actually. Every religion in the world except Christianity, and Ravi Zacharias actually said something similar to this, but every religion in the world except Christianity says, if you dig down real deep inside, you'll find in yourself the ability to be good enough, be holy enough, be righteous enough, and be pure enough to get to God or to ascend to a state of godhood. Every single one. Buddhism says, look inside. Hinduism says something similar. In other words, produce light. Make light. You that we're not designed to produce light, produce it. Are you seeing that I'm describing insanity right now? It's like the definition. It's like hoping for different results this time. Now I can do it. Now I can do it. Now I can do it. You can't do it. Okay? Here's the problem. You and I were never designed to produce what is good apart from God. Just like the moon was not designed to produce light apart from the sun, man was not designed to determine or produce what is good apart from God. We were designed to be dependent from the day we were formed from the dust of the earth. Designed to be dependent. Dependent life. So this truth, I think it's probably most clearly displayed in birth and death. A baby's born dependent, right? And they clothe themselves, feed themselves, take care of themselves. Can they walk? Can they go hunt, fish? No. And when you're old, same thing. It's the same thing. At some point, you lose your capacity to do those things, and you're dependent on other people. It's a terrible, terrible curse, right? It's like our worst nightmare. That's why we put so much money into anti-aging stuff. I'm not going to tell you whose it is, but I saw this cool thing. It was it's this helmet you put on, and you plug it into the wall, and it's got these little lasers in it, right? And supposedly, it's supposed to stimulate the hair follicles so that your hair, you'll retain the hair you have. Tom Cruise recommends it, so we know it works. All go to one place. All come from dust. All return to dust. Job said, naked I came into this world, and naked I will depart. You guys, the main thing that changed in the fall was not our capacity to do good. It was not our capacity to do good or produce light, because we were never designed to produce light. The main thing that changed in the fall is that mankind no longer sees dependence on God as a good thing. That's the thing that changed. This is why the gospel is both the worst and the best news for us. It's the worst news because it suggests that we're helpless and that we're weak and that we need saving. And let's face it, who wants to hear that? You're helpless, you're weak, you can't do it. You're without hope, you're lost, you're destitute, you're naked, poor, miserable, blind. You like hearing that? No. That threatens us at the very deepest level of who we are. And in everything we do, ever since the fall, we've strived. We've strived to make the most of ourselves and prove to all those around us that we're good enough, smart enough, accomplished enough, and attractive enough. That's why so many actors pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for plastic surgery and all kinds of other health treatments because they're afraid that Hollywood will reject them. And honestly, it's probably true. We were watching the show called Running Wild with Bear Grylls. Anybody watch that? Or is that just us? You've seen it? So Courtney Cox was on there from Friends, Monica. Yeah. So she was talking about this, and she says, man, it's difficult for women in Hollywood because, we as we age, people stop casting us for parts. People stop casting us for parts. That's the fear. That's the fear. So we strive to make the most of our image, the most of what we look like, and only display the best of who we are for the rest of the world through Facebook, other mediums like that. The irony, and this is the irony, is that in striving after worth, we became worthless. In aiming at beauty, we became detestable because we've negated the source of our actual beauty and worth, trading the image of the incorruptible for the corruptible, darkened in our understanding and blind to the truth. Blind to the truth that dependence on God is life, that we are dependent for life. Got another slide here I want to show you. So this idea of reflection I think it's a great picture. I mean, think of a mirror. When you look in a mirror, I mean, when I look in the mirror in the morning, it's usually like, oh, what happened? Oh, man. Right? And I'm sure you've experienced that. I mean, this art designed to reflect the artist, the creativity, beauty, character of the artist, to reflect his goodness, his grace, his mercy, love, his compassion, his beauty. Sadly, because of the fall and because of our darkened understanding, I guess this next one, most of us are like this guy. You're awesome. Man, I love you. You look good today, right? Yeah? Maybe some of you can't relate with that. Maybe you're going, that's not what I see. Maybe you see this. Maybe you're the worst. Either way, it's the same. Can the first guy, can he help himself? Can he change who he is? Can he make himself produce light? Or is he just deceived into thinking that? Second guy's deceived too, thinking, I'm going to find hope in here, and I dug deep and I can't find it. Maybe I'll keep digging. They're both needy, isn't that true? Both believe this. They both believe that the solution is to make much of themselves. The first guy's deceived into thinking he's doing it. The second guy believes he's failed in doing it. And so he's depressed. So he's sad. They're both looking inside for hope and finding none. So I'm rocking the dad bod in my latter years here, and have been for a lot of years. And I look around at these fit, trim guys on Facebook and whatever. And, they're at the gym and they go work out and they have time to work out. And I'm like, yeah, man, I need to go work out. I'm going to go do that. Right after I finish this cheeseburger, I'm going. This time's different. I'm going to change. No, I'm not going to change. I love food. Food is awesome, man. I love it. Mexican food. I love all kinds of food. Thai food's one of the best. Who likes Thai food? We're like, that's the best. Oh, man. Spaghetti, pizza. Italian food. Come on. Right? And then bread. There's bread. I know the Bible says man cannot live on bread alone, but I'm telling you, heaven is being able to eat as much bread as I want with no side effects. Okay? I won't have to feel my stomach and be like, can I afford to do that right now? I don't know. Because I care what other people think of me. I care about my image. I care about what I look like. It's not even that I care about my own health. Isn't that sad? Even if it was just my stomach hurt, but I still I didn't gain any weight, I'd still eat bread. It's only because I don't, I'm flabby, but I don't want to be that flabby, right? It's just crazy. It's crazy. I care about how you view me. The crazy thing is that the best image that we can have isn't and will never be found in our ability to make the most of ourselves. You won't find it there. It can only be found in giving up the identity we've worked so hard to create for ourselves, and accept the reality that apart from God, we're nothing. This means embracing dependence on God. That's why the gospel is the worst news to us, because someone who's dependent on somebody else has failed from our perspective. There's this guy, this is a hilarious story. There's this dude, he was 30 years old. I don't know if some of you probably heard about this, but 30 years old, he was living with his folks, okay, and his folks evicted him because he wouldn't leave. Wouldn't leave. So the dude sues his parents, takes them to court and sues them. I think he lost in the end. But man, like what is, right off the cuff, what's your perspective of that guy? Slacker. You're a slacker. Get a life, get a job, get your own place. Stop sucking the life out of your parents. Then you're going to go sue them? Failure is what we'd call that guy. You're a failure. Now here's why the gospel is also the best news. God's not going to evict you. He'll never kick you out. You and I walk around with the weight of always worrying, am I enough today? Have I done enough? Have I accomplished enough? Have I been a good enough dad? Have I been a good enough mom? Always calculating, quantifying, judging, and scrutinizing ourselves under the lens of a broken microscope that cannot see things clearly. I'm a people pleaser by nature. Those of you that know me know that that's true. As others of you that don't probably just think I'm a flake, which is fine either way because both are true. So I'm a people pleaser, which means I am obsessed with making people happy. It's like an addiction. I have to. So I always say yes, and then I overcommit myself, and then people end up mad at me because I have to cancel the last second. And that's probably because I've committed to 50 people because I'm trying to make them all happy. I'm always wondering if somebody is upset with me, if they like me, if they think I'm valuable, and it crushes me. Continually crushes me. I'm addicted to helping people, and not because I care too much. Okay, I'm not like the Michael Scott, I care too much, that's one of my flaws. It is a flaw. But it's because I'm consumed with how I appear to them. It's a sickness. And whether it's people-pleasing or it's an obsession with productivity, we're all killing ourselves and placing an unliftable weight on our shoulders. The crazy thing is that it's futile. Someday we'll be dead. The only thing that's going to matter in that moment is whether or not we belong to God. That's it. Strip away all the other stuff. In that moment, that's all that's going to matter. Today's treasures are tomorrow's trash. You can store it up and keep it safe, but somebody, someday, is going to throw it out, and you and it will not be remembered. The moon cannot produce light because it was never designed to do so. Likewise, we were not designed to produce, but to reflect. Good is not in there. It's not innately in you. Dig deep, you won't find it. In fact, if you're digging deep, you know that what I'm saying is true because you're seeing nothing but dirt. It just gets worse and worse and worse, and you're like, oh, there's no good in there. There's no hope in there. And all the while, this is the crazy part, all the while, God is standing right in front of us saying, come to me. It's finished. Everything you need can be found in Christ. Come and live with me. I've prepared a place for you. I'll never leave you or forsake you. No one can snatch you from my hand. Come and enter my rest. Come find your value in me, and then you'll have an image that will never fade or become someone else's trash. Come be whole. Let me give you an image that will last forever. It's the good news. That's the gospel. It's good news because it's God news. And God news is always true and reliable because God says it. So how does this look in real life? So I got a new job recently, and this is kind of an interesting thing. Just share this with you. So I got a new job recently, and it's a position of authority. It's a position of where I have some control. I can tell people what to do. I can say yay or nay. I get to sign stuff now. Like somebody puts something on my desk. I need your signature on this, so I sign it. Feel pretty good. Sign that thing. And I've noticed there's a difference in the demeanor of some people towards me as a result of this job. I think I've spent my entire life just like all you craving that, you want respect from others, right? You want respect, you want honor, you want to be treated like you have something that's beneficial to them or something that is positive that you can contribute to the world or whatever. And as I've been experiencing that part of things, it's been interesting how little satisfaction I've found in it. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's almost disturbing because I'm like, is that all we are? It's gross. We respect people because of their status, their wealth, their fame, their popularity. We look at all that stuff and we're like, that guy's done it. Man, good job. You're there. You made it. You're the best. I can't help but wonder if that's why so many actors get into, actors and singers get into drugs and alcohol and abuse them. Because they get into that, they get the fame, they get the popularity, and they're like, this is empty. There's nothing in this for me. Nothing. Being dependent for life, being dependent on God for life, looks like relief from striving after identity, though it doesn't feel like relief. It'll likely feel like you're dying, like you're being killed internally, because everything you strive for, all the things you place your hopes in, whether it's circumstantial. Oh, man, get to go on that vacation pretty soon, which I am excited about. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I know we always go to the extreme, so don't go to the extreme. I'm not saying don't go on vacation. Go on vacation. But look, that's not going to fix it. It's not going to make you whole. A new job isn't going to make you whole. It's not going to make you satisfied. A new spouse isn't going to make you whole. Isn't going to make you satisfied. If your kids behave, that's not going to make you whole and satisfied. A new church isn't going to make you whole and satisfied. It's not going to do it. We lust for what we lost. What we lost was dependence, and yet we're trying to find the answer in independence. Isn't that crazy? Is that like when you think about it objectively, does that just look nuts? So it looks like dying. Looks like God showing me more and more that I'm helpless without him. It looks like God inviting struggles and pain and suffering to be a continual reminder of who it is who is sustaining me. Who it is who is sustaining me. Think of it like my kids when they're real young and they're mad at you for something. Probably because you took away their candy and you're making them eat vegetables or whatever it is. I'm always the judgy guy when people are going through the grocery store with their kids and their kids are writhing on the ground. I'm like, oh man, pull it together, right? But if you've ever had your kid like that and they're screaming, they're freaking out, and you're just going no, you're holding them and you're saying no. That is the picture of what our relationship with God looks like in my mind. It is God taking you and saying, no, I'm not going to give you what you want. Because it's not going to satisfy you. It's not what you need. What is good for you is dependence on me. And you're going to depend. And I'm going to produce real hope in you as a result. God is good. He will always be good. He gives good things. And dependence is a good thing. The issue is, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that that's good for me. What I want to believe is that if I can get a little more, if I can get a little more of this, success, fame, money, whatever, that I can finally stop feeling like that guy. Finally feel good. Finally feel good about myself. Finally feel confident to go out in the world, have conversations. I talk to moms who feel like this all the time, like as if mothering is not like the most challenging job on the planet. You have all these moms then in the midst of that are just beating themselves up, thinking, I have no valuable skills, no one's going to hire me, no one would want to hire me. Just beating themselves up. Dad's the same way. I'm not in shape. I don't get to spend enough time with my kids because I have to work. On just about every Father's Day, like clockwork, I go through this phase where I start feeling like a utility, and then I'm just feeling bad for myself for like a whole month. So the month of June is generally not a good month for me, just FYI. But it's all because I lust for independence and an independent identity that I can look at in the mirror and say, you're awesome. And I'm killing myself. I'm killing myself for no reason. It's not in there. You can't produce it. There's no life or light apart from God. Dependence is life, and we are dependent for life forever. Always will be. So I close, I just want to encourage you guys. I'm hoping you're encouraged this morning. It was when I started thinking through this, I experienced a sense of relief because I feel like I get lost in this trap of, man, you got to pull it together, dude. You got to pull it together. You got to get it done. Got to do this. Got to do that. Got to do this. Got to do that. On and on, those wheels just churn and churn and churn and churn and churn. Okay, they just keep going. And it hit me in this as I was studying this that it's not in there. It's not in there. It's a requirement that I'm putting on myself that I can't fulfill. That I can't fulfill. But God has fulfilled it. All the identity you need, the perfect identity, the sinless identity, the righteous identity, the whole identity, the pure identity, the holy identity, the complete identity, the whole package is wrapped up in the person of Christ who's been given to you. Given to you. And God encourages his people to lean into that dependence. Lean into the reminders that tell you you can't do it. Say, yep, you're right. I know I can't. But there's someone who can, and there's someone who did. Lean into that dependence. And let God show you how good that life can be. I'm going to pray. Father, thank you for all that you do for us. Thank you for who you are, for your grace and your mercy, your long-suffering and your compassion. Father, we wrestle with this. All of us wrestle with this. And we just ask this morning that you would help settle our hearts. Help us to turn to you. Help us to lean into you. Help us to come to you. I pray that you give us rest this morning.